This is President Peter T. Mitchell with an important update to our women's college students. Claire Coons, the VP for Student Government Association, arranged for a meet and greet time for me to have at least a virtual conversation with our students. We had hoped we would be able to record the event, but discovered at the end it didn't work. So they asked if I would be glad to redo it. And I'm, of course, glad to do that anytime I can communicate with our students. Although I must admit, I really enjoyed seeing their smiling faces and kind of at least having a virtual relationship, and certainly look forward to that face-to-face relationship just as soon as possible. Claire was very clever. She had an initial warm-up, and that warm-up activity or icebreaker consisted of showing your favorite purple item. And this will be kind of interesting to some of you. When I left Columbia in 1997 to become president of my alma mater, they had, faculty and staff had this great kind of goodbye event, and on it they created a t-shirt, and I hope you can see the back of it. It were the kind of the PTM words or years, things that I said that they seemed to think resonated with them. I'm going to read those to you. It's one of my most meaningful pieces of clothing. I don't wear it hardly at all because I don't want the ending of the back to fall off. The PTM years at Columbia College. And the words are women's leadership, collaboration, entrepreneur, diversity, critical thinking, community, synergism, paradigm, committed to excellence, vision for the future, oxymoron, autopoiesis, you'll have to look that one up, the citadel, systemic holistic approach, millennium, Hakuna Matata. Well, those were great years, and I am so glad to come back. And in the spirit of the same transparency that marked my presidency the first time, I'm going to take the questions that were prepared for me and that I answered on Friday and answer them yet again. And these are from your fellow students. Will we be getting a refund for room and board? Obviously, money talks, and the answer is yes. Those will be going out this coming week, and we hope to have all of them in the mail before graduation. Each student will get a prorated refund of all room and board charges based upon the day that they left the residence hall. Number two, what is something you could offer to the students of Columbia College? Well, I hope I can offer you hope and optimism about the future. I'm a very optimistic guy, and I have great hope for this institution. And the third thing I'd like to offer is proven success. I've been very fortunate, even blessed, to have terrific people work with me. When I was at Columbia and at Albion, we achieved a record historic high in enrollment because we were able to emphasize what a high-quality institution this was, attracted the best students, and had a high retention and graduation rate. And that's what I pledge to bring to you during this time of transition to becoming a coeducational institution. The third question is, how do you plan to give financial services to the students due to COVID-19? Well, as I discussed, we're refunding all room and board fees to all students on a prorated basis. Number four, do we have to go co-ed? There's a series of questions here I'm going to read. Is there anything else we can do, or could we just put it off for a year or two? I came to CC because it was safe and historical. Now it's just not. How can we get that back? Well, first of all, when I agreed to be the interim president, it was because I did believe this was the time to become a coeducational institution. But I did not believe it was the time to be a typical coeducational institution. We really have an opportunity to shape the kind of coeducational institution that what I would call is truly coeducational, truly balanced, where the voices of women are heard and heeded and heralded. We are a place that continues to emphasize the role of women and women leadership, and that will sustain itself in the future. I have every intention of continuing to offer programs for high school and middle school girls. I want our leadership programs to also be targeted for business and professional women in the capital city. So the role of women and leadership will continue. It will then engage men, and I believe it'll be men who will also resonate with the fact that this is a two-gender world and a two-gender leadership, and both genders must be respected. Then the next question's from the same person. How do we make sure everyone is safe and that women's rights aren't violated, no one starts being mistreated? I used to be very happy there, but now I'm just ashamed, and I've had nothing but bad experiences with peers and boys around. The answer to that question is I'm deeply committed to your safety and security. We are going to do all kinds of things. There's a whole committee focused on the idea of safety and security, advocates' rights. This will be a very women-centric institution. I have no desire to attract chauvinistic bubbas who think, oh boy, I'm going to be 1 in 10 ratio at Columbia College. I want young men with integrity and character, and they will create the environment that should be created at a place like Columbia College. And then she concludes with, I guess my real question is, how are we going to make CC amazing like it should be? Because even though the discussion of co-ed, even before that discussion, the school was not doing very well. I just want to enjoy my college experience instead of trying to forget it and regretting it. How can we do that? As a student, how can we make Columbia College better and more enjoyable experience? How are you and the school going to keep everyone's feeling safe? Well, I talked about the feeling safe. But if you'll please go to the vision page that we have on our website, we have articulated what our strengths are, what our opportunities are, and what our vision is. That vision enables us to enter the future as a truly outstanding coeducational liberal arts college here in the state capitol. We're going to push so hard to make sure that that is sustained. We're going to focus on our values and our ethos. The culture that made Columbia College great will be the culture that will continue to make Columbia College great. We are going to be that affirming kind of institution, and we're going to be extremely well respected as one. Number 5, what is your favorite part about Columbia College? Well, you, the students. Presidents have to do a lot of stuff that's not a lot of fun. But the great joy of my presidency, and I think students who were at Columbia when I was here from 88 to 97 would say that I'm a really student-oriented president, that I just delight in being with students. I'm going to plop down at your table in the lunchroom. I'm going to sit on the mall and chat with you. I'm going to call you into groups so that I can pick your brain and hear your ideas about the future. That's just who I am, and that's why I love being a college president. It's because of the students. That's the delight. That's the joy of my life. Are you planning or encouraging or promoting our honors program? Absolutely. The honors program started in 1989 under my presidency. I'm deeply committed to that. And I have to tell you, we've got to ratchet up the standards of Columbia College, both men and women. We are truly an excellent institution. We should be attracting the best students from our high schools in the South and other areas, but we've got to appeal to a stronger audience. The joy of and excitement about an honors program is it's like the biblical. It leavens. It leavens the bread so that bread rises. It leavens the student body so that the students aspire to do better. They want to be like the honor students. So absolutely do I want to see that expanded. And then she goes on to say, are you concerned about the decrease in the number of biology and chemistry majors? Well, of course I am, because the STEM areas are the areas where women have outstanding opportunities, but men do as well. But now part of the reason is that students are going into STEM-related kind of programs like exercise science, etc. But we want to increase the number of students in our strong academic programs. And how are we going to do that? Well, obviously the vision is one way, but we're going to market the daylights out of this place. As I noted in the vision comments that I made before, this is a place that has an excellent reputation, and we just need to get the word out and market ourselves more effectively. Then the next question. It's been a while since you've been immersed in CC life. What are your personal plans regarding to adapting to new CC that has a lot of changes from your previous presidency? Student demographics are more diverse, student needs have become more serious, and supporting, welcoming, inclusive communities expected. Well, the reality is when I started my presidency, I think our diversity was in the single digits. When I left, my goal was to equal the state population, and at the time I left, we were right at the state demographic population. In other words, women of color represented between 28 and 29% of our students, just as it did in the state. All my presidencies have been marked by an increase in diversity and inclusiveness, and certainly a culture that welcomes that inclusiveness. In terms of the demographics of students have always had needs that needed to be addressed. They change over time, but the response of care and compassion and support and encouragement, those don't change, and those are still hallmarks of this institution. How do you plan to blend into and embrace what CC has become in the same way I did back in 88, by loving the school and loving the students and the faculty and staff and doing everything humanly possible to support them in every way possible? Are you concerned with the students' perspective and uncertainty with how having an old but new president during such a time of transition? Well, yeah, I am. I don't know if I'm crazy about the definition of being an old president, although as I look at my white hair and the fact that several students have noted that their mothers were students of mine back in the 90s. But I still think I'm pretty energetic. I think I'm pretty useful in my thinking, and I'm certainly student-oriented, so I don't mind being the old guy who represents the best interest of the school. And then the next question is, what plans do you have to show the CC community immediately how serious and committed you are? Well, this is step one. Step two will be continued working with the students. Obviously, my commitment began when I started the envisioning process and insisted that we focus on excellence, relevance, innovation, and leadership, that we embed the past into the future as an integral part of our core values. And I'll continue to do that. What would you say to students, faculty, staff, alums, and supportive CC students in regard to having a male president again after such a long period of women presidents? Well, I'd have to say that gender is an issue. There are men who are very strong supporters of women, and there are women who are not supporters of fellow women. I have to tell you, Margaret Thatcher is one of the toughest guys I know when she was the Prime Minister of Great Britain. I would like to describe myself, and always have, as a feminist, a great supporter of women. I have a fabulous wife and two terrific daughters that I've always been an advocate on their behalf and always on behalf of the students. So while I am a male, I think you'll find a male is going to be as supportive in a different way than a female would, and I will continue to have that emphasis in my presidency. Do you think it creates a concern of uneasiness and feelings of preserving the deeply rooted women history? Well, again, going back to my presidency, during that time is when we formed the Women's Leadership Institute. That's when we built the Johnny Cordell Breed Leadership Summit. We were the second college in the country to have a Women's Leadership Center devoted exclusively to that activity. We will continue to be a forerunner and a leader in that field of women's empowerment, women's leadership. That's part of our DNA, and that's part of what we're most respected for, and we would be fools not to do that. The next question, are we going to be going back to campus in the fall? Boy, I sure hope so. I certainly do. At the same time, this is Columbia College. We've got to prepare for every eventuality. And so your faculty and administrative staff are working on a variety of contingency plans that will either create a on-again, off-again campus where you come and then may have to go home and may have to come back again. A typical, like we always do, which requires no preparation because we're really good at that. And then the third option of if we are forced to teach online, what are we going to do? Well, I will tell you, we are investing a lot of money this summer in instructional developers and in our faculty, paying them for professional development. I think they did a superb job on the spur of the moment on turning on a dime and providing remote education online. But we've got to be prepared if that's the new normal for the fall. And we are always good, but the focus is going to be not just on pedagogy, not just on teaching and strategies and techniques, but we want to develop ways of engaging you that are still that same intimate, caring, concern, that connection that you have to your faculty member as a mentor as well as a teacher. And we'll be working on that throughout the summer if indeed we have to offer some or all of our courses online. One other issue that we didn't address, and I want to address directly because I know it's of concern to some. When we originally announced that the college was going to go co-ed, there was a description of a two-track process where there would be some exclusively women's classes for women only and then co-ed classes. I need to tell you, when I met with the faculty the very first time, that was about the first issue raised. They have grave concerns about doing that wisely and well, and also the financial implications. They said to me, supposing we have a basic class that would have 11 students, 5 of them want to be in an all-women's class, 3 men and 3 women want to be in a co-ed class. We literally have to run 2 parallel courses, both of whom have such a small enrollment that the interchange of ideas is just not the best for learning. So based upon their feelings and their unanimous support, I felt it was critical to move towards the coeducational courses. And not just me, they know how to teach you. They've taught you this way for all of their teaching career. They know how to empower you to make sure your voice is heard and then make sure you develop that voice. I think you're going to have to trust your faculty to teach you in the same exciting, vibrant way that they have in the past as they go forward. I've tried to answer most of the questions I think that were raised, but the bottom line is, the flip of all of this is, do you realize you are going to be joining this institution at probably the most pivotal time in its history? You will be formulating what we become as a co-ed institution. Not just a run-of-the-mill, not just a typical, but a truly coeducational, an environment where women are still empowered, a place where you can learn and grow and mature and gain the confidence, the courage, the commitment, and the competencies. Those 4 C's are always going to be a part of our tradition, always going to be a part of who we are and what we do. As will those 4 words. You'll be hearing excellence, relevance, innovation, and leadership, probably till you're about ready to puke. But that is who we are, and that's what we're going to become, and you're going to play such a vibrant role in that. You're going to have an advocate in the president, you're going to have an advocate in your faculty and staff, as you always have, and you're going to leave this place prepared to do just about anything you want to do, including change the world. Again, I miss you all. I look forward to our time together. And if you have additional questions, please contact me and I will respond individually to each of you. It's finals week. Go for it. Take care. Stay healthy. Stay safe. God bless. Thank you.